everybody, welcome back to Crochet by Landry. Today we're going to talk about the top 5 things of what not to do at a market. They were helpful for me that I realized that if I didn't do these things, I had a bit more traffic, more customers and such. So grab a cup of coffee, grab something to work on, and let's chat about what not to do at a market. Point that I found that was very helpful when doing markets that I learned. This is something that if I did it, then I didn't have very many customers and people wouldn't come in and say hello, or let alone come in and say, come in and check out my product or whatever. So the first thing is don't ignore your customers. If they come in, don't be shy to say hello, welcome. Feel free to look around. Let me know if you have any questions. The more inviting you are, the more likely your customers are going to come in and check out your product that you're selling. So it's all about good customer service, being able to come in and for them to come in and be invited in and check out your product. And don't be afraid to say hi, ask them questions. If they ask you questions, do your best to answer. You're the one who made the product, so you're the best person for them to ask the questions they want to ask about how you made it, what you made it with, how long it took you to make it. So don't be afraid to answer questions. Don't be afraid to be inviting and say, hello. Don't ignore them, because if you ignore them, then they're most likely not going to stop and they're just going to keep on walking. So don't be afraid to say hello to your customer or potential customer. That's for the first tip I have for you. So let's talk about the second one. So let's get started talking about the second thing that I found was helpful if I didn't do this and I got more customers. So the second thing to not do is spend all the time or most of the time at the market sitting on your phone or your electronic device. If you're using your phone or a tablet or a computer for your square, that's a little different, because obviously you need to use those to take your payment from your customer if that's your payment of choice. But don't spend all the time surfing on the internet, surfing YouTube or TikTok or what have you. Put the phone down unless you need to use it. Be engaging with your customers, because they're not going to come talk to you if you're shut down and not engaging and ignoring them, which goes back to the second point. So don't spend all the time sitting down on your electronic device. Don't forget to, be engaging, stand up, invite them in, because they're more likely to talk to you if you're inviting. So that's the second point that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to mention was don't make your booth space uninviting. Now, depending on what you sell, you may have a different way or a special way you like to set up your booth to make it more accessible for customers to get to your product that they want to look at. Whether you put one table in the front or make it in kind of like an L shape, kind of like what I do, or a U shape where they can come in and look around. It's totally up to you how you set up your booth. But don't forget to make it inviting for people to come in and look and touch and whatever, because they love to be invited in. So don't forget to do that, because if you don't do it, then they're just not gonna. And don't forget to use the space you have. Don't forget to elevate your product. If you have, I know I sell plushies, but if you sell other things like jewelry, makeup products, home decor, use the elevated space that you have, and use your whole booth space depending on how big your booth space is. So don't forget to do that to make your space inviting for customers when you're doing a market. All right, so number 4 reason of things not to do at a market that I found was pretty helpful, that if I let people do this, it would be easier to get more customers and more sales, is depending on what you make, whether it's a plushie or things made of glass, don't be afraid to let your customers pick things up and touch them and feel them and look at them closer. If you say, oh, don't touch that, then they may not want to touch it, depending on what you make. If you make things out of glass, then you may be a little bit more weary about letting people pick things up, because you may be afraid that they'll drop it or break it, but that is up to you guys, your choice. But don't be afraid to let people pick things up and feel how they're made, and they're more likely to buy it if they can pick it up and actually see what it feels like. So, and putting things out that they can pick up and grab, like your business cards and pamphlets or brochures of some kind from your business, so they can get in contact with you in the future for things that they may want to have custom made or whatnot. I know I've had a few people pick up business cards from me and actually email me the next day, telling me where they met me and saying, can you make this for me special? And I said, sure. So don't be afraid to tell people that you do custom work and all that stuff, because that's what they want to hear. They want to say, I do custom work, and get in contact with me. Here's my contact information. And who knows, you may get more customers doing it that way, as well as directing people to your social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Etsy, Shopify, however you deal with your business. So that is the fourth tip I have for dealing with things not to do at a market, is making sure that you're letting people touch and pick up your product and seeing how it feels. Here's the fifth tip I have for dealing with things not to do at a market. For some people, depending on how you set up your booth space or your table or what space you have for when you do a market, it's important to not overfill your table. So don't fill if you have a 6-foot table or 2 6-foot tables or even 3, don't fill every square inch of your table with product, because then it's too overwhelming for the person coming in looking at it and potentially wanting to buy something. If there's too much for them to look at, they may not want to buy anything because they're like overwhelmed by how many things you have out. Usually I put out maybe 1 or 2 of each thing I have for sale, and I place them in a certain way so they can see them. And as well as I add business cards and pamphlets and brochures or whatever on the table, so people can pick those up too. If they don't want to buy something now, they know where to find me if they change their mind. Don't overfill your tables, because if you overfill, then it's too overwhelming for customers to look. And don't forget, you can always restock if you have extras. So always put out like 1 of each color or 1 of each design, and then you can add later if they buy something. And that's it for today, everybody. Those are the top 5 things not to do at a market that I found that made my life a little bit easier going forward. And this is kind of a market recap video. So, I mean, I did markets starting from May, and I've done the summer ones, and I'm getting ready to do some winter markets from October until December. So stay tuned for some maybe videos on that. And who knows, maybe I'll have a market video coming up next week, but stay tuned for more fun crochet content. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and the notification bell, and I will see you next week for more fun. Bye, everybody.